We're here, we're queer, and we will continue to change the world. Welcome to Queer Changemakers. I'm your host, Justin Mezzapin, pronouns he, him, and each episode will share stories of LGBTQ plus individuals who are taking action to make a difference in our communities and beyond. Welcome to another episode of Queer Changemakers. This is part 2 with Ashley and Cathy from Modern Military. I hope everyone had a good Veterans Day and enjoyed that previous episode. Feel free to listen to it if you haven't. We're in part 2, and I feel that congratulations are in order as some things have changed around a little bit.
I'm no longer warming the seat temporarily for ED, and I am so happy and grateful and excited to introduce our new executive director for Modern Military, taking us forward into the future, Ashley Carothers.
Hello.
Clap, 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 clap. Applause, applause.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
So,
It's
hey,
exciting.
I'm glad to be one of the first people meeting the new executive director. It's amazing how things can change in one podcast episode.
I know. It's wild.
But this is exciting. It's exciting. So, you're the new ED. What's next?
What's next? A lot. That's such a loaded question. But, we talked a lot about the legacy of the organization and a lot of the work that we've put in over the years, how we got to this point. We talked about Service Legal Members Defense Network and the work that they really put in to kind of catapult us into the future. And of course, a lot of things have happened in recent years where we thought, hey, we could probably sunset that portion of the organization because we got comfortable. We thought, hey, we're doing pretty good. We've got a lot of equity and equitable things built out for our members, our family members, our veterans, that we might be able to sunset this part of our organization. And so we're making some changes because there's a need to get back to our roots and have that legality effort put back in place. And so we want to be able to support our members and their families to fight for our future. And we believe that's necessary now. And so we're getting the band back together, hopefully soon, to start on this effort. But obviously we can't do it without community. We talked a lot about community on the last episode. And so we need help with that to start that back up. But we've got a ton of other things that are cooking. We're obviously going to continue our advocacy and policy work, as well as pretty big news that we're really excited about. For the first time ever, we're on the CFC, the Combined Federal Campaign. We do have a number. We're going to put that out there. I forget what our actual number is. I think we have it in the chat.
CFC number 12111, Modern Military.
And so that's just a really great way for people to give without even thinking about it, right? You sign up for CFC, it's a one and done for the year. It's a great way to give back to us and project us forward and help us continue to protect our members. So we've got a goal. We're trying to get 50 people to give 25 a month, which we think is small potatoes, but for us, it's big potatoes. So we really need the help of our community, and obviously anything you can give is going to go directly to support our active duty service members, their families, and our veterans, especially our military families with LGBTQ plus kiddos. We want to make sure that we're not just surviving in this crazy environment, but we're thriving. And so we need your all's help to continue this amazing work that we have.
Awesome. And we'll definitely have the CFC number in the show notes so people can get it right. it's a hard time.
Definitely.
And I also love that, like 50 people to get $25 a month, which is a very low ask,
Hmm.
which is great because that
Yeah.
means you can like double that. And it can be even greater, the impact that can happen from there.
Yeah.
So you also mentioned something about needing help with community.
Hmm.
Can you talk more about that? I know a lot of people right now, financial insecurity is just it's just everywhere. No, like nothing.
Yep.
Anyone can be fired or organizations can shut down tomorrow. But there's many ways that people can contribute to the success of an organization. So, what are ways that people can support your organization after they sign up to give money? What are other ways that y'all can receive support?
Definitely. We always need volunteers. Obviously, when we roll out new programming at the beginning of the new year, we're going to need folks that can lend us their brain power, their talents to help us fight. When we talk about community, we really, really want to get back to our roots in bringing people together wherever you are. Doesn't matter where you are, right? We want to show strength together. Sometimes we just need to go out for a cup of coffee. Sometimes we just need to show up at a park and go for a walk, go on an unscheduled hike, show up at the dog park with your fur babies and hang out together and talk about life and just admit things are hard, right? But when you're together, there's something magical about sharing how you're feeling because you never know how that's going to help a person next to you, even if they don't open up, right?
Mhm.
So we really want to bring folks together and show that we are here, but also protect each other, protect our hearts, protect our souls, right? Protect our footprint by coming together and just showing some resilience and doing some resiliency activities with each other, right? So that's what we mean by, getting the community back together.
Okay. And to be a little more practical, if someone wanted to be part of the community, how would they go about that?
Absolutely. Kathy, do you want to talk about our great programs?
Yeah, for sure. So I think the easiest thing to do is go to our website and you're going to sign up for our newsletter, like join the mailing list. We're going to keep you up to date on everything that's happening and how you can get involved and how you can advocate, right? So we're going to be like, these are the things you might want to call your congresspeople about. These are the things that are impacting your direct military and veteran community. Then we've got a couple support groups. So we've got the second Monday of every month in partnership with PFLAG, the Military Communities Meeting. And so that is for parents and caregivers of LGBTQ youth. And the parents at Modern Military peer facilitate that group. And so that is a really special evening where we lift each other up and share resources. And then the third Monday of every month is our meeting called Strong Communities. And that is for LGBTQ plus service members, veterans, and their partners. And that's peer facilitated. And again, a really special evening where folks lift each other up and join in community. And one of the new things that Ashley will be bringing to the table is we're going to be doing monthly kind of advocacy fireside chats where like you can directly interact with us and talk about how we're going to affect change for the future. Ashley, how do you want to talk about the fireside chats that we're
Yeah,
going to be doing?
it's a great way just for people to get to know the organization, but it's also gives me on the spot insight of what people are going through, right? I'm in the DMV, right? So we're kind of in the thick of things, but I don't know what's happening in Kentucky. I'm not there. I don't know what's happening in Texas. I'm not there, right? So having people all over the place, even overseas, that tune in. And even if they don't have a question, but they've got information for me, that's something that we can look into as a team, right? And so it's just a great way for people to plug in to see, obviously, if we have any updates, but more importantly, hear from the community at large. And everybody's invited. You do not have to be a service member. You do not have to be a veteran. You do not have to be a family member. I believe everybody's connected in some way or form to our military community at large and our veteran community. So you might meet a veteran in the grocery store tomorrow that is mumbling about an issue that they're having. You can bring that to us at those fireside chats so we can advocate for them. And so it's just a really powerful way for us to connect and have that togetherness. Obviously I can't be everywhere at once. So realistically flying to Texas, I can't to meet with people. So it's just a great way for us to interact.
Okay.
I'll add two more things. So we also, because Ashley said we cannot be everywhere, another great way to be involved is to fill out our discrimination reporting form. And so that lets us kind of statistically keep track of these changes that are happening that are really negatively impacting the LGBTQ military and veteran community. And then we can take those stories and that data and then affect change when we go to Congress or we're advocating at the Pentagon. And then the last one is, and like it feels icky, but it's so important. We can't do the work without funds. I think, Justin, like corporate sponsorships have dried up. People have backed away from Pride and LGBTQ advocacy organizations. And so like the community supporting itself more important than ever since people have been shy to show their support lately.
And every little bit counts, right? You can only give $5 one month, totally understand. If you can only give $1, if you can give 25 a month, whatever it is, if you can sign up for CFC, much appreciated. All of it goes back to our community, and it just helps us continue the fight.
Thanks for sharing so many different programs and aspects and ways people can get involved and support and get connected. I especially love the idea of a regular fireside chat to share and hear from people, because I do think just so much is happening, and having people share their stories, as you were saying, Cathy, yes, it's helpful to go advocate and like, here's actual story, people lived experience of how we need things to be better, because we don't want to keep these stories happening. We don't want more of these stories.
Exactly. Stories are so powerful. I always tell people that you don't see it behind me, but I have a wagon full of stories. And so whenever we go somewhere, we're talking with people, whether it's base installation, whether it's local representatives in your township or your small community, locality, or state level or federal level, I will look in my Rolodex as that person is talking to see if I have a story to share with them. And what better way is if that person just happens to be a constituent of theirs. I don't have to use their name, but I could just say, hey, I heard from one of your constituents. This is what they're going through. This is what they're experiencing. And if you want me to get you in touch with them, great. If that person allows us to share information or go back to them later to get that information from them, great. But if not, now you have that story of that personal experience. And hopefully they keep it with them. So when they're sitting down to hear about a policy or sign on for a policy or write a policy, that they'll remember just how it actually affects people.
Awesome. I don't know how the future is or the present sometimes, but finding more ways to share our stories, finding more ways to like make them accessible, and then also to make them accessible for change. Sharing our stories is always good to be seen and be held in that, and then also learning new ways to say, here's how we can leverage a story and like for the reason, right? Like come from a place where people like everything happens for a reason, and like I don't agree with all of it, but everything that happens has happened, and what are the best reasons that we can use that for? Yeah. Okay.
Justin, I've got a really good example of literally exactly what you're saying. So at the end of last year, the National Defense Authorization Act, that's like the military spending bill, right? And it also like determines policy for the military. So that spending bill last year took away healthcare for trans youth in the military healthcare system. And so we had stories of military families with trans youth read on the floor of Congress saying how they would be impacted. And we lost that fight, right? The bill passed, taking away gender affirming care for those 19 and under. So it's bad that happened. Yes, that is a given. But now those families are sharing how they've been impacted, how their military careers are ending, how they're getting out, how they're, scraping funds together, and how that impacts their ability to serve. They're sharing those stories to us, and we're taking them to Congress again to try and stop further limitations and restrictions in the next NDAA. So it's like this bad thing happened and we didn't win, but we are leveraging those stories to try and stop further harm. So that's kind of like that cycle of how even when it's the bad thing, we can still use those stories to try and stop further harm. Or we are using those stories to stop further harm.
Yeah, I was having a conversation this morning and it brought up something similar where it's like, okay, it's really hard to say. It's really hard to say. But like, everything is perfect right now because it is, right? Like, it can't be any other way because it is that way. And it's really hard to even say. Like, I don't even know how to say the words honestly. But the words that I wish I could like fully embody are like, I don't like everything that happened up to this moment, but it all happened to make this moment happen. And how do we take that and keep using it? How do we take that and move forward and be like, okay, you showed me there was a gap in knowledge. Now I see it. How do we help bridge that gap? How do we help connect to those other people who may not always see us? And I hate it because I see a lot of the pain that's been caused. And the hope is, how do we create a better world moving forward? Which I meant to say because it leads me into my next question, which I didn't realize. Okay. I'm going to ask a question. You can give me two different answers.
Okay.
But the question that I ask is, as part of our wide LGBTQ plus and an expansive community, what is a vision you have for the next step from where we are? And you can answer it in terms of the organization, like what's that organizational vision for the next step? But also, if you have another vision, personally, I'd just love to see more X, Y, or Z in the world. You can do a secondary answer as well.
I think they go hand in hand. Reconnection and renewal. So as an org, we're returning to our roots, right? As a community, we need to return to our roots and have that sense of togetherness, right? There is strength in unity, there's strength in community. So I say it all the time that joy is a form of resistance and they can't take your joy away, right? So resilience isn't just about endurance, it's about belonging. And if we are together in community, we're what? We're belonging, right? So when we come together, we're reminding each other that we're not just surviving, we're shaping our future. So to your point of we're in it right now, this is where we're at. Yes, we can take that, learn from it, and shape the future that we want, right? Nothing has ever been perfect in the past. And we always talk about how we wish we could change things. We have that ability now. So going back to the organization with our end of year campaign and our vision for the future of getting back to our roots, the foundation of our very impact was litigation, advocacy, and policy. And it's rooted in community. And so that's where our strength has been, challenging that injustice, advancing equality and equity, and obviously ensuring that those who serve our country are protected and respected in every way. But I think that also goes twofold to the broader community at large. Every American deserves that. But it starts with us. And so continuing to fight for that dignity, the equity, and our representation. That's our legacy of our service members and our veterans. And I think that's our legacy as a nation.
Awesome. You should have answered the question first, Cathy, because now you have to follow that.
I'll only add that, like, my dream is to leverage kind of the angry parent ally and build on that. There's nothing like the parents' love, and I just want to build my parent army and leverage that to lift up everything that Ashley was saying and have this whole accessory group build on that messaging and broaden it and just grow.
Yeah, I love that. 2 years ago, I wrote like this, like I shared this coming out journey of mine, and it was like a two-parter as well. So like it ended with like a, well, what happened next? And then it took a couple days before putting out part two. But there were some people who were like some of my straight ally friends were like, I read your story, and I'm not part of the LGBTQ community, but like I felt that, right? Like I've gone through some of the same things. And I feel like parents have a lot of story. Just the process of becoming a parent and being one and seeing this person that is you but not you at all and being there for that journey. And I think there are a lot of parents who may disagree with us, whatever that means, because they haven't met us. But they have these like parental aspects of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that angry parent army, when they're angry for reasons and able to be like, here's part of my parenting journey. And I think there are parts of that parenting journey that will resonate with other people who don't have a queer person in their family that they know of. But that parenting aspect, right? Like what as a parent, what do you want for your child? Like what does that even look like?
Mm-hmm.
And then being like, same, me too. And I think parents have a way of
Yes,
reaching the other one.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
So I look forward to this angry parent army, especially because I imagine them being like, we're angry and we're here. And then they share these stories and everyone's crying and hugging at the end. But like,
Yes. It just
I
becomes
still,
like this really beautiful moment.
yeah, all their weapons are just stories. And so that sounds awesome. I don't know. I like both of the visions, and it's really interesting how we get to make it reality. 2025 and leading to 2026, like who knows? But it is there. It is there.
And before anyone comes for me, I will say angry parent army of love.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of love. We're just spreading love. That's all.
Like literally, I think the anger is I'm just trying to love my family and like grow, like be here. And people are like, no, you should not love your child. What? Like, what do you mean? I don't
Crazy.
understand. Like, we're all here on the same journey together. Look forward to it because it's yeah. I see it passionate parent army fighting injustice and probably a little bit of ignorance because life is hard. Okay. So love the visions. And then a question that I try to ask people too. You mentioned how people can get connected with the organization, being part of the community, showing up to these groups, donating, being there. And this next question is a little bit one step above that. So let's say you can collaborate with anyone to like, make something into a reality. What does collaboration look like? And who would y'all love to collaborate with moving forward
I think
to
that's a
affect more change?
huge question because who wouldn't we? I think anybody that stands firm in their morals and values and sees our community as humans, just another person, I would love for them to collaborate with us. If you were, telling me like right now, somebody's behind this door and who should it be that would just kind of jump out and I think work with us wonderfully and that shows that backbone, that leadership, and brings a uniqueness to what they do. The first person that pops to mind, honestly, is Patagonia. she is out there with such a lived experience of her own background with her professional track, and then sticking it to everybody in such a great way and showing people how it's really done and what showing up for others looks like. I think that's who I would want to pop out of door number one and say, what do you need, modern military? How can I support? And then we get to work.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
I'll piggyback on that. Of the practical is that, we have a lot of great partnerships now, and my dream would only be to expand them. Like, we have this military parent support group in partnership with PFLAG, and like, what a dream it would be to expand that reach so that every PFLAG chapter knew how they could incorporate the military and veteran community that's there. And I think building those bridges, like Ashley was talking about before, it's, this is all of America, and building that bridge of the LGBTQ with the military and veteran community across, a huge organization like PFLAG is a dream. So that's the practical, right? Just expanding some of like our current partnerships. But like, Ashley, this wasn't even on my mind until you talked about Patagonia. In the before times, Lady Gaga took multiple LGBT service members to the MTV Awards, the Grammys.
I think it was that. I think
a major award show, and they were in uniform, and it was a moment. And this is back in the meat dress Lady Gaga days, right? Like, she made a statement on the red carpet, and she made a statement for against Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And I'd love to get back to that moment where we did have as someone with a big name willing to go on the red carpet with our trans service members now, who are experiencing the new Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and really highlighting it to the world what's happening.
Love it. And this goes back to sharing your stories and why I ask these questions, because I don't know who's going to listen to the episode, but by saying some of the things that we have in our visions and saying some of the ideas of collaboration, that's really interesting because things can come out.
That's my vision board. Round 2, Lady Gaga.
Yeah, I mean, just really, we would just love to collaborate with anybody or even have a conversation with people. There's so many folks and awesome foundations that exist that we don't even know about. A lot of times it's like who you know that can get you in touch with somebody else that might be able to help. And so honestly, because we're trying to get the band back together and get that litigation team up and running, anybody in that space that could come forward and say, I would love to assist. And whether that's through dollars of assisting to build it out, or if they have the know-how and folks that would love to assist, that's their profession, we would be honored to have that connection and just be able to have that moment of a conversation and see what this could look like, because it might look different than we did it before, and that's okay. But we definitely want to take what we've learned from the past, what worked really well, but then also now it's 2025, leaning into 26. What does this look like for us now moving forward?
Awesome. I love the collaborative nature and community-based ways to do it, because there's a lot happening and ways we can learn from what's done and make it. How do we make $1 go further? How do we make one effort go as far as possible? Those are the thoughts in the back of my mind, and I love it when I hear that in other places. Okay, so before we get to the final rapid fire questions, is there anything else that you want to discuss, mention, or a question I should have asked but didn't ask yet?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay. I'm adding a new rapid fire question.
Okay.
I'm going to see how it works. I'll see how it works. Okay, so rapid fire questions part 2. Let's see how it goes. So, question 1. AI and technology.
Mhm.
Go.
Can be good and bad.
Okay.
Depends on how you build it out in the first place, right? Like AI, you have to give it prompts and you can teach it a lot of things and it can be built out in an equitable manner, but that depends on who's doing that work, right? So if
Mhm.
they don't have the intersectionality experience and lived experience that they should, or the knowledge that they should when they're building it out, it can be bad.
Yeah. So I'm going to update that question. AI is here. We can't stop it. And everyone keeps saying, what if we just make it bigger? Then it'll be better. So what is the AI that you would want to see? What is the AI you want to see in the future? I don't.
Ooh, I think it could be like a teaching moment, right? So we would always get a lot of questions from folks of how do I support somebody that's LGBT plus, right? Whether it's your child, whether it's a friend or whatever. Maybe it's AI telling you how to lead with empathy and understanding
Okay.
and how to have that conversation and keep that open. Keep your heart and mind open to what that person is telling you. They're just telling you, they're the same person. They're
Yeah.
just updating you a little bit on who they are.
Okay. Cool. Kathy, AI of the future that you want to see.
I think my main concern is just making sure that the frame of reference for AI stays woke. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Fair. Yeah.
I have a lot of fears about restrictions on what AI can say and also what are like the learning tools that AI is using. And I want to make sure it's coming from good science-based sources and, like Ashley was saying, based in love and support and not all the scary stuff that's happening.
Yeah. And I would add one thing on the back end that they don't use it to identify certain groups of people and put people on a list.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
That's fair. Fair. Awesome. Thanks for asking that. First time I've asked it in that way. Thanks for playing. Okay, next question. What is your favorite self-care activity or routine?
Is it doom scrolling? Because I don't have a good one.
Oh goodness. I'm a nerd, so things that bring me joy or like when I need to get out of my head or things are really tough, which has been this year, especially with everything that's happened aimed at me personally and professionally. I am a brickhead, so I love Lego.
Hmm?
And so there have been a lot of moments where my spouse can tell that I need a moment, and they'll just be like, even though I have a backlog to put together, they know the joy that the Lego store brings for me. And so they'll be like, let's go pick out a Lego, go home, build it. And so there's been many days of getting lost building Lego.
Um, I have not heard either of those before. I self-care activities, but I love it because it's part of the goal to just have a list of things because life is hard and how do we take care of ourselves? Sometimes it feels so far away. So I just love new ideas. And I used to like Legos. It's been a while. Okay. So, next question. You may have answered it already, but who is a queer change maker that inspires you?
I think you guys can see my bias, right? And I keep referring back to our trans service members. And so I'm going to say, in general, all the trans service members being pushed out right now. But like highlights, of course, would be like Commander Emily Schilling, fighter pilot, has served with honor and integrity and is the name on one of the court cases suing the government for the right to serve. And that takes a lot of bravery to put your name on it. And so she inspires me greatly.
There's so many, all of them. I mean, there's been so many people throughout history that have done so many great things that they've never been recognized for. And that you'll never know their name because maybe things happened along the way where they couldn't share their name, or we don't know enough about their story to say their name, or we don't think as a society that their impact was big enough for the overall community. And so we don't know, their names are not known. But I think everybody that's come along and fought in their own way, right? It looks different for everybody, you know, whether you were at Stonewall, whether you participated in getting the ban repealed, if you participated in DOMA, if you participated in any of, and I can't believe it's plural, you know, assisting with any of the trans bans to get those removed, whether it's going to a town hall and saying this is wrong, whether it's fighting a school board so a kiddo can use the bathroom and just relieve themselves, for heaven's sake. Like, that should not be an issue, right? Whether it's going to the NCAA and just fighting for somebody to play a sport, right? For their passion. I think that they're all heroes, and I look up to all of them.
Thank you both for having this conversation, for showing up, for taking the time out, sharing what's happening in your organization, some of the future visions and what's going on next, and the work that you are doing and have been doing just to make spaces and communities better. I think our military is important, and I always hear it as this big monolith in a way. And sometimes there are these platitudes, support our troops and this and Happy Veterans Day and Memorial Day, and like making it real, sharing some of the stories of how we're actually impacting people and being impacted. Thank you both for the work that you're doing and continuing to do. And Happy Veterans Day and Happy Veterans Day month. And with that, my final question, Cathy, you get to go first, is do you have a piece of advice or guiding word of wisdom for the viewers, the audience, as they hear this?
One of the things I want folks to remember is that the military is as diverse as the country it serves. And so it's not a monolith. So when you're thinking of Veterans Day and the military, and you're like, that's not my community. And I'm here to tell you that it is, right? There's some facet of it that is. So just remember, everybody is serving in some capacity and they need your support.
Okay. And
Yeah.
Ashley?
I love that. My advice to folks is reconnect with each other, reconnect with community. None of us are meant to do this alone, this thing called life. And we definitely can't fight what we're up against alone. So coming together is important. Remember that there's more of us than that there are of them. Remember that joy is a form of resistance. So protect it, nurture it, and share it. Remember, when we find joy, even in the face of struggle, we remind the world that we're still here. Living, laughing, leading, and loving boldly.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Queer Changemakers. This is Justin, and I hope you are able to get some inspiration and maybe some ideas about how you can take action to create positive change in your life, communities, and beyond. See you next time.